This is Dr. Pretti-Frontczak, and I'm providing an overview of an online course titled Framework and Formula for Writing Meaningful IEPs. And so just a quick snapshot of what is in this course. Basically, there are a series of training videos, and I'll unpack that in a minute so that you understand that you don't have to watch everything. You can also listen or you can read. There's tons of printables and downloads that you can reuse, that you can use as you go through the course and take notes, and of course you can share with your colleagues. And then there are sample IEP goals and sentence starters to make sure that you can actually have good models, a place to begin, and then a kind of a launching pad when you're ready to apply the practices that are shared throughout the course. So the course is comprised of 4 modules. Each module is unpacked further into lessons, but let's look at the big view first. What are these 4 big modules? What all is covered in this online course? The first module is called IEP Worthy Outcomes. The second, Disability or Difference. The third, Selecting Criteria. And the fourth, When Children Struggle. The great thing about this, and we'll go through each of the modules, is you can do them in any order. But let's start with my favorite, which is IEP Worthy. In this particular module, there'll be 4 main lessons. We'll learn about present levels of performance and how that really is about what is keeping the child from accessing, participating, and making progress in appropriate daily activities. And without a good one, it's really hard to get to a good IEP goal. We'll also discuss these things that I call 4 filters. This is how we know that the data that we have, at the present level that we've written, this is how we go through and talk about what becomes IEP worthy. And then certainly there are 2 sides of the worthiness coin, if you will. Is the what you want to teach or have the child achieve functional, and is it measurable? And so in this module, we'll unpack present levels, 4 filters, what's functional, what's measurable, and all together, this will give you a framework for figuring out what should be on an IEP and what should be maybe something left for a lesson plan. So that brings us to another question. Is this really a disability, or is it a difference, or is it a delay that will sort of, across time resolve itself? So in this particular module, we'll dive into what are wants versus needs, both from our perspective of what we want the child or what the child needs to learn, as well as what are wants and needs that children have in terms of their development and learning. So this will be a lot about not just targeting something louder and in the hallway, but really thinking about what is ensuring access, participation, and progress. And then, of course, we always return to data-driven decision making so that teams can make a decision or a distinction between is this a disability, a delay, or just a difference. And a 5-step data-driven decision making process will be shared. That brings us to a 3rd module. And again, you can do these in any order. A 3rd module is all about the so what. What will convince you and other team members that the child now has the skill? What can you manage in terms of data collection? And in the end, what really matters? What skills, abilities, knowledge do you want this child to have and to, of course, use in their everyday routine? So this module will have several lessons into thinking about these pressing questions or these underlying questions. What will convince you? What can you manage? And what matters? The 4th module is all about what some of us call DNQs. Sometimes we call it Tier 2. I just call it worrisome, or it's pressing on your heart. So there may be children who do not qualify. There may be children who have needs not in the area in which they qualify. There may be times where a child is struggling, or we're struggling with a child, but we really don't know that we have enough data to suggest that there is a disability or a substantial delay. So what do we do when development is stalled, or when a child is struggling, or a child does not qualify but we're still worried? So in this module, we'll have several lessons that will really give us some ideas about what to do for kids who do not qualify but are still pressing on our hearts. So some specific strategies about what you can do when something is basically not an IEP worthy outcome but still worthy of our attention. So how do you do this? How do you make your way through the module? I've already alluded to that there are 4 and that you can go in any order. So that's the great thing. You can kind of pick and choose based upon what's most pressing in your life, what you feel is the gap, where you feel maybe even your strengths are that you just want to make them even stronger. So each lesson, regardless of which module, will come with the following things. There'll always be a training video, much like what you're watching now, where you'll be walked through some content by me, and I'll be walking that through in a very traditional kind of PowerPoint way, but in a way that is compelling in terms of visual support. So it won't just be bulleted text that you could read on your own or me reading from a script. It'll be me actually training and supporting you through concepts and ideas in a video format. But some of you might be driving, some of you might not want to be watching your screen. There's too much digital time anyway. So you can also download just the audio file of the training video. So there won't be visual support, but you'll have all the audio you need. And then some of us are kind of old school. We like to read it. We like to have our yellow highlighter out. We might want to go back and grab something that we heard, but we were driving, so we couldn't make notes, or we shouldn't make notes. So there'll also be a downloadable transcript of each training video. And then lastly, speaking of downloads, each lesson will have something that you can take notes on, something that you might want to refer to later, maybe an image or a visual that you can print out and share with others that really captures the spirit and the intent of that particular lesson. So no matter how many lessons there are across the 4 modules, you can pick and choose. Even within a module, you can go straight on into a particular lesson of interest to you, and you will always find a training video, the downloadable audio file, the downloadable transcript of the training, and then downloads to help you take notes, think more deeply about something, and maybe print and share with others. So just a quick note about me for those of us who have not met before. I'm an expert in early childhood development, and I am always thinking about how can we create learning opportunities that will best meet the needs of diverse learners, in particular young children. So if you're interested in really thinking about targeting IEP goals that matter to the children and families you serve, if you want to be not only legally defensible, but really made meaningful and make sure that this is something, again, that matters to the children and families that you serve, then this online course is just right for you, and you're ready to begin your journey in diving into these 4 modules where on the outside, on the end result, you will be able to write more meaningful goals. You will be able to think more clearly about the data that you have. And as a bonus, you'll be able to know some strategies of what you can do for diverse learners who are struggling, but who may not have needs that end up being IEP worthy. So speaking of IEP worthy, we'll close this out, this kind of overview and this getting started into the online course with this quote. Crossing the street with 80% accuracy may be measurable, but it certainly isn't meaningful.